Hey guys, welcome back to BCMN Bracketology. Today we're going to be going over some of the conference tournaments. We're going to be going over the Big East and the Pac12. Comment down below which teams you think will win and which teams you think will pull off the upsets and maybe even make it to the big dance. Also, please consider dropping a sub down below. It really helps us and it's free and we really appreciate it. So thank you and let's hop into the video. So in the Big East first round, we got Xavier versus Butler. Honestly, two pretty disappointing teams this year. Xavier in the past and recently has been horrible. They were ranked at some point and even like one of the top dogs of the Big East, but they are not performing well. They've lost 8 of their last 10 to some bad teams, losing multiple games to St. John's and losing a game to Depaul here and there. Not a great team, but they're gonna beat Butler. Butler just doesn't have that firepower to keep up with them.
Next, we got St. John's versus Depaul. And what I love about conference tournaments is that you can already see that they played each other, and you know how they play and how they play against each other. So it's really good. Depaul and St. John's has played twice, split the series. But since St. John is hosting this tournament, I do think they're going to win.
So next we got Seton Hall versus Georgetown. Georgetown, not a great team. Seton Hall has been really good this year. Earlier in the season, they actually had some really good matchups against Michigan and Ohio State. They were able to knock off Michigan back then, have a super close game against Ohio State, and they even were able to knock off Texas. They're the real deal. They can knock off these good teams. They've been putting up really good fights in the Big East, barely losing games to teams like Yukon and teams like Villanova, and I think they're going to be a real contender this March, and they're going to win this game.
Next, we got Providence versus Xavier. And as we've been saying, Xavier has just been very disappointing as of recently, losing 8 of 10. Providence, on the other hand, have only lost a couple games recently, and those being to Villanova, and Villanova's very good. We'll get to them in a little bit. But Providence is just beating every other team, and I don't see them losing to Xavier.
So moving on, we got Creighton versus Marquette. You asked me a while ago. It's a completely different game. Marquette was a much better team, and they were ranked back then. Creighton had their best player. He's now out for the entire season, so that's a big downside to Creighton. But Creighton, honestly, I thought that Creighton injury would kind of be their downfall for almost the rest of the year, and they'd be done for. They've been pretty solid ever since. They're actually playing better team basketball. Their efficiency has gone up. They haven't been relying on that single guy. They've been scoring 80 points a game. I think history will repeat itself similar as it did this year when they played Marquette most recently and both times. And I think they're going to win this game. And last time they played Marquette, it went 2 times ago. It went to double overtime. I wouldn't be surprised if a similar thing happened. Both these teams are super evenly matched.
Next we got Villanova St. John's. Villanova has won 7 of their last 8 games, one including away against St. John's. They've also beat a really good Seton Hall, Providence twice. The only loss was to Yukon away. That's a tough game. Villanova just looks amazing, and I don't see them losing to St. John's, even if they're away. Even if St. John's has the home court, I don't see Villanova losing.
So next we got Yukon versus Seton Hall. Yukon's just size and guard talent's incredible, but Seton Hall's just play style is great too. This season, when they've played each other, they're both 1-1 against each other in super tight games. One was 5 points, one was 3 points. Both these games came down to the last minute. Seton Hall, when looking into those games, Seton Hall didn't look like themselves when they lost that game. They had a ton of turnovers that game. Not turnovers, but they just weren't making the shots that you would expect them to make. Same with Yukon when they lost, honestly. Both really good teams. I do think Seton Hall has more to gain from this tournament, and they really just want that better seeding, and I think they're just going to put everyone out there, just play with their hearts out, and I think they're going to be able to pull off this upset, and they're going to be able to hit that 3.
Yeah. Next we got Providence versus Creighton. Last time Providence played Creighton, Providence won by 21 points, and I believe that was before the injury. Not positive, but either way, I do respect Creighton. They've given up. They've had a great fight. They're more encouraged after the rest player has got injured. But sadly, I think their run in the Big East tournament ends against Providence.
So next we got Villanova versus Seton Hall. Villanova has just been incredible this year. Although they always are shaky in these tournaments, but I don't think they're going to lose this one. They've been really solid recently. They have only lost to Connecticut, and then most recently. And Seton Hall, I don't just think has that firepower to guard Gillespie, and Villanova will actually have a pretty easy win here. I think Yukon would have had a much better chance at winning this game, but Seton Hall matches up against Yukon pretty well.
Yeah. All right, on to the finals. We got Providence, the 1 seed, versus Villanova, the 2 seed. And it is really hard to beat a team 3 times. Villanova has beaten Providence on the road by 5 and at home by 2. As much as I want Providence to win, Villanova is the better team. They have the better player in Gillespie. And history repeats itself again. Villanova wins and triple sweeps Providence.
So, yep, thank you guys so much for watching our Big East portion. Not too many upsets. Just wait for our other conference tournaments. And we're going to just attach this to our next video. So, thank you. Hey guys, now we've got the Pac12 tournament to hop into, so let's just get into this right away. We've got Arizona State versus Stanford. Stanford in the offseason lost their best player. Arizona State has actually been pretty productive recently. They're on I think a 4-game win streak, knocking off some good teams. They're putting up some good fights against some really solid teams in this Pac-12 conference. They were even able to knock off Oregon by quite a bit recently, and I think they're going to have no trouble at all beating Stanford.
Yeah, next we got Oregon versus Oregon State. Let me be very clear. Oregon State is the worst Power 5 team I've ever seen. They have 3 total wins. Yes, they have 1 good win. I do not care. It's a must win for Oregon, and Oregon's going to win.
Next, we got Washington State versus California. California, not too great this year. Berkeley hasn't had any moments or glimpses of hope this season. Washington State has been incredibly productive recently. In their last game against Oregon, they shot something like 48% from 3. It might have been around there. They hit 16 threes in that game. They look incredible. They recently played USC and UCLA. They almost beat USC in an away game. They've been playing great. They're playing a lot of away games against these ranked teams and coming in very close against them. I do think Washington State's going to win this one, and it's not going to be close.
Next we got Washington versus Utah. And as you look, Washington's the 6th seed in the tournament. Utah's the 11th seed. Both teams are very average. I'm going to be honest. I think Utah is very underrated. Utah keeps games close. They lost by 5 to UCLA. They lost by 2 on the road to Arizona State. Last time they played Washington, it went to double overtime. Great game. Utah was on the road. I think the factor here that gives Utah the edge is the free throw shooting. They're shooting almost 80% from free throw line, which is amazing. One of the better schools in college basketball. Washington, yes, they're shooting 70%, but that's not 80%. I think refs are a big factor, and I think Utah wins.
So next we got Arizona versus Arizona State. Arizona State, you're a good team. I just don't see you pulling off this upset. I think Arizona is so far and ahead in this Pac-12 conference that they're not going to have any trouble with Arizona State. They beat them both times this season, absolutely demolishing them. They're going to demolish them again. They're not going to lose here, and they're just going to run away with this game, literally, as they are the fastest team in college basketball and have the fastest pace.
Next we got Colorado versus Oregon. Colorado is the most bipolar team I've seen. They could lose by 40 or win by 40. They lost by 17 to Arizona State recently, but they also beat Oregon State by 23. So they can either be really good. They beat Arizona. They can look really good. They lost by 15 to Oregon last time they played, and Oregon knows how to win tournament games. They've shown it in the past. It's a must-win for them, again, if they want to make the tournament, and I think they're going to pull off the upset.
Next, we got UCLA versus Washington State. Washington State, nobody's talked about them all season, except recently they've been very hot. And I think right now what you need is a very hot team in this tournament. And I think that hotness and kind of ability to hit that three-pointer is going to carry over. UCLA, earlier in the year, one of arguably going to win it all, to win the whole thing. They kept their entire team from last year, a Final Four team. Very solid team. Recently, they've shown some little cracks. They've lost to USC. They lost to Oregon. They lost to Arizona State in a bad loss. Bad loss. And Washington State, I think, is going to be able to push them to the edge. Washington State is a very solid team in that they have multiple guys who can score double digits every single game. When they're on from three, it's hard to beat them. We saw that with that Oregon game. Oregon was playing perfectly fine basketball. They didn't really make any mistakes against them, and yet Washington State put up 95 points. It wasn't bad defense on Oregon's part. I just think Washington State, if they can remain hot, they're going to be able to beat this UCLA team, and they're going to pull off this upset.
Yeah. Now we got USC versus Utah. USC knows how to win games. They have a lot of experience. Isaiah Mobley is back in action. They got good coaching. Mobley is their coach. In the tournament, I don't know if they got to the Sweet 16. I don't know if they got to the Elite Eight. Either way, they have the experience, and Utah, as good as your free throw shooting is, I don't think you could handle USC.
So next we got Arizona versus Oregon. Oregon, incredible tournament team. They know when to get hot. They're going to be hot in this tournament, we know, and I think they're a scary team to play, especially for a team like Arizona. Arizona barely just beat them a couple weeks ago, and they were at home. But I do think they're not going to lose this one. Arizona kind of had a wake-up call after losing to Colorado, like after that Oregon win, and they've just been playing out of their minds recently. A team kind of possessed almost, and I think they're going to run away with the game. But I do think Oregon's going to keep it close for a while, and then kind of at the end they're going to let it go to Arizona, who's just going to be able to run ahead and win this game. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Oregon upsets us all and ends up being this Pac12 team this year that ends up making the tournament, like similar to Oregon State did last year, and then making a run for the Elite Eight in the actual March Madness tournament. They're incredible.
Also, a question to go off of that: if Oregon beats Colorado and loses to Arizona, do they make the tournament? Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe. Anyway, we got Washington State, USC. We like the hot teams, but we like the sound teams too. They're defensively amazing. USC is very good. They have 4 players averaging double digits. That's amazing. Great team basketball. I think it comes down to experience and tournament experience, and USC has more tournament experience and has wins in the tournaments that Washington State has not done, and they're going to win.
So now we've got our finals of this tournament, Arizona versus USC. Arizona and USC, they just played each other at USC. And what happened? Arizona demolished them. At no point in the game besides the first, I'd say 2 or 3 minutes, did this game even look close. Arizona took the lead, stuck with it, and were just dominant. They just ran the ball, outran them. Matherin is an incredible player, and he's not going to let them lose in this conference tournament. I see a great defensive team at USC, but I don't think they're able to stop them. USC is good size-wise for stopping teams, but Arizona's pace is just different than any team we've ever seen in college basketball, and I think they're going to outrun and outwin this team. So thank you guys so much, and that is our Pac-12 and Big East tournament. If you have any questions or comments, please consider dropping them down below, and thank you.